It's been a long road getting from there to here. It's been a long time. I'm gonna have to lower my voice, but my time is finally near, and I will see my dreams come alive at last. I will touch the sky, and they're not gonna hold me down no more. No, they're not gonna change my mind, 'cause I've got faith of the heart. I'm going where my heart will take me. I've got faith to believe I can do anything. I've got strength of the soul, and no one's gonna bend or break me. I can reach any star. I've got faith. I've got faith. Faith of the heart. Space.
We were laughing though when we were singing that, and then we realized that it goes really well into Easy Like Sunday Morning. You know,
I'm easy like Sunday morning. Space. The final frontier. These are the voyages of the USS Adequate. Our ongoing mission until we are cancelled and replaced by something far superior, or kicked out of the studio. To review every episode and movie of Star Trek in existence. To seek out new guests and reoccurring guests who look incredibly annoyed and tired. And Lee. Hi, Lee! I'm recording shit. To seek out new guests and make them very uncomfortable. Like this dude right here.
He looks very uncomfortable, don't he?
To
Look
boldly
at him.
go. He does. He looks stunning. To boldly go where every Star Trek-based YouTube show has gone before. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, Treks and Trekkers. It is Trekking Up North.
Hey!
It is Friday night, morning, for
something.
us. It's something. And I am coming to you live from the Shuttlepod studio / dental office / massage clinic / chiropractic adjustment / something I don't know.
We
Hello,
can get
everybody.
a full checkup there, can't we? We can get our teeth done. We can get our back fixed.
We can get our teeth done, our back fixed. We can get everything sorted. I am coming to you live from Los Angeles, specifically Burbank, specifically Never You Mind. It's top secret. As you can
Although
see,
it does have a dentist studio, a chiropractor, and a massage parlor, so Google Maps should be able to help you triangulate that one.
As you can see,
I love that Mark came on purely to move that light into the screen, like he's really proud of it. He's just come on and we're like, no, I want my light to show up on this screen.
He's gone all lighting, the lighting guy from Terminator Salvation, and we just need Christian Bale to berate him for about 5 minutes and someone to record it. But yes, I am in the Shuttlepod Show studio here in Los Angeles. As you can see, there is an expensive camera staring at me. Look, I actually have the frosted... There we go. Look, the frosted tips.
Ready for Daddy Tucker.
Ready.
That's what it is.
There is a better microphone. There is a better camera. There is a budget. Look, we've got a screen behind me. There is no mild shelf of destitution. There is no wall of bankruptcy. There is no signed picture from Dave Blass that I showed. Sorry?
I love how expensive that monitor, that screen probably is, and it's still not as expensive as whatever you have on the shelf of destitution.
The mild shelf of destitution, yeah, well, the mild shelf of destitution would have had an NXO1 that's probably worth about 300 quid this week. But as I'm in LA, we've got a tiny one. Look, we've got a shit. What would we call that? The table of regret. We should call it.
I've been on that.
Have you been on the table of regret?
Yeah, I have.
Enough about your
enough about
night.
my trip to Berlin.
Yeah. Oh, He's wearing a shirt, he's got a cap, and he's moving a light.
He's just like, damn, I'm proud of this light.
He's driving him bonkers. Everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Trekking Up North. Hello to everybody in the chat. Hello to Christopher. Hello to this dude called Mark Cartier. Hello to David. We've got Becca. We've got Paul from Nerdy Up North. We've got Beth. You owe me a headset, Beth. We have got Lee, the magnificent Lee. And even better, I have got my own Lee. Lee! Hey. Come here, Lee. This is
double Lee.
I've got double.
Not my birthday till next month.
This is female Lee. Say hello to everybody.
Hey, there we are.
Hey,
What
female
are you
Lee.
doing today?
Sporting the Trekking Up North
That's right.
denim jacket.
Wow.
Now
Look
available,
at that.
Now available in all the shops near you.
That's amazing.
I don't
Lee.
know how you put up with him, but
Yeah, how do you put it with me? Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you understand him, Lee. I mean, we're faking it in the UK. We're
apparently
kind of
it's
going,
hard to
Goodwill.
understand
Something about
that's
Star
what
Trek.
they say. But we are here to review Star Trek Enterprise's Season 1 episode, Vox Sola.
Also known as the hentai episode.
Also known as the hentai episode, yes. But first and foremost, as every week, Science Officer Synoiz. I haven't even introduced myself. I've been that tired. I am Captain Goodwill of the USS Adequate, and joining me as ever is the delectable Geesian from the planet Honk. It's Science Officer Synoiz. Science Officer Synoiz, how has your week been?
My week, okay, I'm just going to say I'm so incredibly grateful that you left me in charge of the USS Adequate. And obviously, when I say in charge, I mean you left the command codes decryptable. And that I'm very pleased with myself that I've successfully managed to... Wait, actually, what was the acceptable amount of decks that we could have on fire?
The acceptable amount of decks we could have on fire?
Yeah.
None.
Okay, well, we are overachieving at that currently. We have 9 decks currently on fire and 5 swarmed by geese, which I'm seeing as a plus.
What have you done to my ship?
Well, it's more of a group effort, like with 1,000 screaming geese. I mean, it's...
Whoa. 1,000 screaming geese. You had 12. Why is there 1,000? They are not tribbles.
Well, with new Maxi Goose Plus, we are able to increase the amount of geese that we can produce by 100%. I mean, it's going to be big, as in the geese are going to be big, as in there's 4 of them taking up 5 decks. But I'm sure that by the time you're back, we will have at least 2 functioning decks. It'll be fine. And how many crew members were you expecting to come back to?
How many are alive?
Anyway, my week's going well. I've had a wonderful time. I'm really good. I had this thing because I've got so much going on with the 24-hour gaming stream that myself and Ian are doing next Friday. So basically, directly after the podcast next Friday, we're going to be doing the gaming stream for 24 hours, which should be pretty fun. And then also working things out for my mixed drag thing. But I've had to order business cards. I've had to sort of work out how T-shirts get made. I've had to work out how fabric gets printed and stuff. So it's been like I had like mental burnout on Monday because when you're mentally you've got so many plates spinning, and you've got something ticking over in your brain, being like, got to sort this out, and stuff. So I've done quite well, and it's all plain sailing now. And we had the beer festival yesterday, which is an annual tradition where me and friends got very, very drunk at Newcastle Beer and Cider Festival at Northumbria Uni, I think it is.
Northumbria.
Yeah, so things are going well for me, but more importantly, what's life like over there in that La La Land? That there La La Land.
Yeah, I am in sunny Los Angeles. He says it's cloudy, overcast, and there's a bit of smog.
You've brought the weather with you.
I've brought the weather with me, yes. There is forecasting a storm, so I have definitely brought the British weather with me. I am absolutely loving it. Mark thinks I'm going home. He's wrong.
Are you just gonna hide behind his sofa and be
I'm
like, surprise, bitch?
Yes. Please don't divulge that to everyone live on air, but thank you for ruining it. No,
I've ruined the surprise, Mark.
I am having the time of my life. I was up for all of 46 hours getting here. I was next to the rudest French person ever on a plane.
What?
I got no sleep because of this person hogging the seats. You know on a plane where someone like you sit and you've got one armrest like that, so you sit like that, and it's etiquette that everyone just has one armrest. He was like this, so he was just like that.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get sleep, and the only way I could get sleep was literally, I was like this.
Oh no.
So I had about an hour's sleep on the plane. And I did consider murder.
Well, no, I think it is acceptable. You know how you get the gas masks and they drop from the ceiling? You can initiate that and then just strangle him to death with the cord. I've done that several times.
But what made it worse, it paled in comparison to the lovely lady to my left who is afraid of flying and wanted an aisle seat. And because I'm British, I conceded my seat. And I was like, no, please, no, have the aisle seat. You're a nervous flyer, have the aisle seat. And what I didn't realise is she would then refuse to move out of the aisle seat for the remainder of the flight. And I needed a pee.
You should have set an ultimatum. You should have set a kind of, well, I can go there and do it, or I can sit here and do it. Which is it going to be?
I have never driven so fast in my entire life through another country to go to the toilet.
Was there not anything at the airport? Did you not?
No, because it took an hour to get through the airport for passport checks and everything like that. So, and obviously I have suitcases, and you can't take suitcases into a cubicle because cubicles are small. They are not designed for suitcases.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So it was either I pee myself, I pee in the car, or I race to Burbank and have a pee. So, yeah, my kidneys... You know that episode of The Simpsons where his kidneys explode because he hasn't had a pee for 100 miles? That was me. So, yeah, but apart from that, it's been a wonderful time. I am with all of the fans of the Shuttlepod show. We are getting... we have been meeting up, having so much fun. I've got the wonderful... Mark Hart here. We've got more people coming into the office. They are sneaking in. I see them. They are sneaking all in. Everybody say hello! Hello! And the crowd goes wild. Yay.
No wonder Mark got his fancy light out. He's like, I've got people coming over. I best get me best light bulb out.
This is Trekking Up North's first live audience. All three. So we
and they can only hear like one half of it.
And they can only hear one half. They can only hear me rambling, and they can't hear Science Officer Synoiz going, and with new Maxigoose. But no, it is a wonderful time at the moment. I really don't want to leave.
Wait, the important thing is, what is the food like? Because that's what matters.
What is the food like? I have gained so much weight. I have gone up a belt notch.
Bloody hell.
I ate pie in bed last night.
Oh my God, aren't you glamorous, aren't you? Well, you bougie bitch.
After I went to the restroom to avoid my kidneys exploding, I made my way to the first supermarket I found, and I bought a pie. Not a slice of pie, a pie.
A pie. Oh, are they massive as well?
They are. Oh, yes, they are massive. And then I came to the studio to watch the first episode of Fallout with Mark, which is incredible, by the way.
We were saying in the Nerdy Up North thing, it was the idea of just like everyone's kind of, you know, where everyone's surprised that something's good these days, and it doesn't say much for the state of television. Everyone's like, what are you saying? It's a good adaptation of a video game? What?
Yeah, like I went in without any preconceptions, and we were just blown away. Like just by the first episode, we were blown away by it.
That's fantastic.
A lot of mention of incest, which is always good.
Wow. Okay, that's.
Synoiz, we're from the northeast.
So we've already discussed hentai and incest today, so that's good.
Speaking of hentai, let's get into this week's episode.
Hashtag speaking of hentai. Come on, everyone in the chat. That's the hashtag for today. Speaking of him, like...
hashtag trips goo. The
Wow.
It's been a long road.
Yeah, let's start again. It's been a long road.
Yeah. But yeah, let's get in. Fallout is rad. Yes.
Yeah, as in rad, as in radioactive. Yes.
Mark, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it?
Fallout?
Yeah.
12,000?
12,000 out of 10. Thanks, Mark. Okay, let's get into...
It's lucky he's pretty, isn't it? You know,
we are lucky
he's
that Mark
certainly
is
not to Paul levels of maths there, but...
That's a stupid... And the crowd goes wild. Okay, moving on. Dead silence. Let's...
There we go. The crowd goes wild. Silence.
I was promised an audience. Oh, where are you going? Okay. Yeah, let's get into
That's
Vox
what I
Sola.
said in Berlin, actually. Anyway.
Is that what you said in Berlin? But enough
it was
about
a
your
great...
Saturdays.
I'm really... You know what? Like, sorry, everyone watching. Me and Goodwill are literally just chatting about things, but it's because I haven't properly spoken to you. Like, because you've been up during all hours of the day. I've been busy with bloody photo shoots and stuff. So it's like...
busy, yeah.
Yeah. So it's this weird thing. This is genuinely us just live catching up on what our week has been like.
I think the last time I spoke to you was when I was putting my out of office on in my job, and they were like, "When do we, like, I'm going to LA now." And they're like, "Oh, cool. When are you back?" Okay, bye.
I love how you're saying out of office, but what you actually mean is throwing a Molotov cocktail through the window.
Yeah, I did a Wolverine.
That's it. Oh, hey, out of office.
Yeah, out of office. No one's going to be able to do your work for you. Okay, bye. But no, let's get into this week's Double Wheel episode, Star Trek Enterprise Vox Sola.
I'm really pleased with this. Like, I genuinely, I watched this again today, and I was a bit worried because I was scared that if we rolled Enterprise again, we would get season 4. And as we know, I'm a bit about season 4.
Season 4
but
is brilliant.
With the thing is, season 1 is my favorite, and this is possibly one of the best episodes of season 1 that I think of because this episode encapsulates everything that I want Enterprise to be. Like, I am fully behind the showrunners, where they basically went, hey, this is what the direction of the show will be. And I know there was a lot of kickback from people being like, oh, it's not Trek, or it's boring, or it's, whatever. This is like, they're literally getting by and inventing stuff as they go. Like, this whole thing of Hoshi being like, I don't know how these languages work. Let us actually try and, work it out. And sort of them running by on, like, what's it called? The skin of their boots, or whatever the phrase is, getting by like sort of, the straps of their boots or whatever. Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Skin of their boots. Running around, getting by
there's some phrase, isn't there? Like the by the straps of their boots or something. Anyway.
Or pulling themselves up by their bootstraps.
Maybe. Oh, I don't know.
Maybe.
It's
I don't know. That's very
silly
political.
phrases.
We don't do political at Nerdy Up North. Fuck the Tories. Anyway, go on.
But it's the fact of how much I love this episode, because we get to see all the characters being brilliant. Well, most of them being brilliant. And it's a Hoshi episode. And Hoshi is my favorite.
Hoshi is
Hoshi is my absolute favorite character. And the reason season 3 and 4 pissed me off is because they just forget about Hoshi. They just go, oh, well, she's done the communicator now, and nothing to do with her.
I disagree. I disagree, because she got her own episode in season 3.
Yeah, but,
Okay, right, cool. Yeah, this is a Hoshi episode. It is when we landed on this last week, and I as ever pull up the synopsis. The first thing I saw was a YouTube thumbnail saying, "Why was this filmed?" And it's all down to the tentacles and the sound effects and the fact it's all white goo. But this is Star Trek meets Close Encounters of the First Kind. Third kind? First kind?
Third kind.
Third kind. First kind was just...
Isn't it weird? Shouldn't the third kind should be like the... it should have been a build-up series of films where the first kind is someone going, oh, look, there's an alien. I think there's a ship. And then the second one is like, oh, I've been touched by an alien. And then the third one's where he actually gets abducted.
No. Don't say being touched by an alien.
Hashtag touched by. That's what this episode is. That's what
Hashtag
Vox
candle
Sola
slag
is.
touched by an alien.
That's right. I've got touched by an alien.
And he is gonna bend it. No.
Yes.
So yeah.
Covered me in white goo.
We get Vaughn Armstrong. I love this race in Enterprise, and for the life of me, I can't remember it now. I had it wrote down.
Well, I just written it as the space French.
So
basically, they're
French.
yeah, they're basically the person you were sitting next to on the plane. You know, it's just like, I wrote it down as.
But when he ate on the plane, he actually just increased his leverage on the plane to eat the curry. He didn't put a towel over his head or anything. Yeah. He's like,
I wrote the name down as the Cretaceans.
The Cretaceans. That is it.
Cretaceans.
Vaughn Armstrong plays the leader of the Cretacean ship, the captain of the Cretacean ship. We see them, I think, twice in Star Trek Enterprise. This is the first time we see them, and yeah, so they are storming off the ship. They are absolutely fuming that they are storming off the ship. But what we see is that when the docking umbilical is detached, we see a mysterious. This is a minefield of innuendos. We see a mysterious goo.
We see some late 90s CGI climbing onto the Enterprise ship.
Late 90s CGI. No. Late 90s goo sliding from one ship to another.
And getting in through the airlock before they close it, which is quite good.
Yeah.
It's quite sinister what they do, but it's like, yeah. But I love this cold open though.
Yeah.
I like this cold open where we basically get to see everyone on the crew being upset by the fact that the Cretaceans are
Cretaceans.
What are they? What is it? Cretaceans.
Cretaceans. The Cretaceans.
Yeah, Kardashian. It's when a Cretacean and a Kardashian
eats. Yeah.
But no, it's quite good, and obviously we've got it where we've got Hoshi with her, like the prototype for the Universal Translator, basically trying to decode their language and trying to communicate back to them, and we get to see what a sort of laborious affair it is, where she's basically sort of they're saying things, she's looking at the readings, being like, I think they're saying this, and then she's having to like translate what people are saying back to them, and just how different this is to the later Trek that we see. And I think this is what I love about season 1, where we get to see all of this, where we're like going, it wasn't just you immediately can chat to people that you meet like in a couple of minutes kind of thing. This is going, hey, we need Hoshi, like she is such a crucial part of the crew, I think. And I just love that about the cold open.
But as we know, Hoshi is the inventor of the Universal Translator in Star Trek history. And we see very much in season 1 of Enterprise, like you said, because obviously the Enterprise is a prequel. It's 100 years before the original series is set. So we see, hey, they have transporters, but they are experimental. They don't have shields. They have polarization of the hull. This is the first episode where we see a force field.
That's it. We have 2 inventions in this. We have the Universal Translator getting better, and we have like Reed actually kind of getting the first force field working. It's which is crazy. That this is what I love about it. It's the fact of they kind of abandoned this kind of style in order to do the later series and just make it more sort of action packed, I think.
Well, do you want to like go through like a brief synopsis of what happens in the episode?
Yeah, the main thing about this episode, the main theme of this episode is communication. The whole thing is about how difficult it is communicating, and how the crew have been in space for, like a couple of months now, is it, at this point? But it's effectively...
later on in season 1, so they've been in space for a good, I think about 6 months or something like that, where they've been in. Yeah.
But it's the fact of just seeing how, and it goes over how each of the crew members like communicate, as well as how the other races communicate, and how aliens communicate as well. So... And it's really good because we get to kind of see how people do it. So we get to see like, relationships between the crew and how they all kind of speak to each other, which is just a really good thing. But yeah, we'll get into that. But effectively, basically, this alien creature sneaks onto the ship, and then starts draining power from one of the cargo bays, I think it is, or something, where something goes wrong in a cargo bay, and then we get two red coats, effectively. We get two,
the proto red shirts,
two red shirts,
red bars,
which is quite good actually, because usually we only get to see red shirts in the context of an away mission or the rest of the crew, but we kind of get a lower deck scene in this where basically we get two engineers talking to each other about like their upcoming movie night where they're going to be watching a French film, and they're basically going, "Hey, well, your shift hasn't finished yet. Go and look at this.
Can I do a double shift?
Go and look at this problem that we're having
Not
in one of the cargo
Canadians.
Bays. Sorry. They're called Cretaceans. We've established this. But
no.
Or the guy who sat next to you.
The one that hogs the plane seat. Yes, go on.
But basically, one of the red shirts goes there. And I like this. It's a lower decks kind of moment where we get to see this insight into the lives of the rest of the crew, because season 1 does a very good job of going, hey, they're all here together on this crew kind of thing. And then, goes to the cargo bay and then gets attacked by a tentacle, basically, a tentacle beast.
Yeah.
And it's very weird that this thing has just started taking over this whole section of the ship. And do I keep going with a synopsis?
Yeah, because it starts to envelop crew members into its web, shall we say?
It's weird. It seems to create like a web. Like it reminds me of, in the terrible Super Mario Brothers movie where it has all of the fungus and stuff, where it's all growing around and it's like these big webs everywhere.
That's not the Super Mario.
Oh, right, okay.
Sorry.
That had
I
a
know
higher
you were
budget,
blinded
though.
by Pedro Pascal, but it's not the Mario Brothers. So, but yes.
No, blinded by Pedro Pascal because he was sitting on my face. Anyhow, that look makes it worthwhile, everyone. But but anyway,
go on with your thing.
So basically it ends up with Captain Archer and Trip Tucker, the chief engineer, getting trapped in this creature kind of thing, and it starts basically feeding off their life force and whatnot. And then it becomes up to the rest of the crew, like basically without the two big guns that we've seen in the show so far, which is mostly problems being sorted by Archer or being solved by Trip. What we have in this is we basically go, hey, it's T'Pol and Reed, who are the next most senior officers, having to fix this problem. And then we kind of get to see that they're kind of shit at it. And that it's like, up to Hoshi and the other crew members like Phlox and whatnot to actually save the day effectively.
But
it's an interesting one.
But it's Hoshi who, at the beginning of the episode, has sort of screwed up because there was a difficulty in translating the Cretaceans language, and they didn't understand why the Cretaceans were storming off.
And she's taking it very personally that, and we get to see, and obviously, like I was saying earlier, there's a communications issue, and it's that we get to see T'Pol being very mean to Hoshi and very sort of like harsh to her, as in basically effectively saying, hey, this is all your fault. Or, it was probably, it must have been your translation or whatever that like caused this problem. It could have been something Trip had done, but it's all about, like, we should probably go into this. Well, I'll keep on with the synopsis and then we'll go into the deeper levels of, the bits of the episode. But effectively, the different crew members all come up with different solutions for how they can fix this. Obviously, Malcolm Reed, being a dickhead, immediately goes, oh, well, we should just shoot it. Let's just use violence on it. And immediately starts looking for ways to kill this new creature that they've found. And it obviously doesn't work, and obviously helps everyone.
I'm sorry,
by being the best course of action.
Malcolm Reed, dickhead.
No, he genuinely, like, I'm sorry, okay? I'll go into it more, but it's the fact of, like, I think Malcolm Reed might be my least favorite, like, Trek character ever.
Wow.
And that's including Neelix. But it's purely, and I don't think it's anything to do with, I don't know, because Kirk, I don't like Kirk, but Kirk kind of, Kirk, I'd say probably we're doing bottom 3 is Kirk, Neelix, Reed.
Wow. In the
but
list
it's
of
this.
twats, Malcolm
yeah.
Reed is at the top. Okay, understandable, but okay.
But it's this thing where you just kind of go, I would be really interested to find out what, you know how when you do the auditions and stuff, I'd be tempted to ask Dominic Keating, the actor who played Malcolm Reed, whether, like, what the description of the character is. You know how it basically says, oh, this is what the kind of character it is. Here's the script that you read, you know, blah, blah. Because he's just such a unlikable character. Like, there's nothing about him that I find particularly likable. It's like he has terrible social skills. He hates people. He doesn't actually have any hobbies or any actual interests or stuff he likes. He always is hot-headed and always jumps to conclusions constantly. He's always antagonistic or like the problem in the city. He's always the, you know how you have like films and stuff where something goes wrong and then there's immediately someone who panics and causes more difficulty. He's always that person in the room. And doesn't seem to be very good at his job. Like, you know, like in this episode, it's like, okay, you are the chief of security. Well, it's not chief of security. He's like, he's basically
Tactical officer.
Yeah, he's pre-security, really.
Yeah, he's
but
pre-Worf.
Yeah, and it's pre-Yar, I think you'll find. But
Yeah, Tasha, yeah. Sorry.
But yeah, and yeah, I just find it very difficult. I find his character very difficult because in this episode we have it where he immediately chooses violence, doesn't do a very good job. So they basically, him and his team go into the cargo bay, start shooting at the creature, realize it does nothing, and Malcolm Reed just runs away, panicking kind of thing, just leaving everyone to it.
I'm sorry,
and then
but
manages to
that scene,
yeah,
where Trip and Archer are taken up by the tentacles.
Yeah.
They become senpai.
That took a couple of viewings for you to get through it, didn't it?
Archer-san and Trip-san.
Senpai. Archer Senpai, I think it is.
Oh God, no! Scott Bukakula. The
Bukakula. Scott Bukakula. Oh no! Oh no! Hashtag Scott Bukakula. He sounds like a vampire. It sounds.
Bet he wish he could leap
Scott
from
Bukakula. Count Bukakula.
Ziggy, what do I have to do? You don't want to know. You don't want to know, Scott, what you have to do for this one.
I love how all of the problems with this monster basically being a white tentacle beast that leaves white liquid everywhere and covers everyone that it touches with white goo. All of this could have been fixed by making it blue or something. Like the fact that this went through all of the design and the special effects department without anyone going, that looks like cum. Nobody said this. I'm just like, this is why every production studio needs like a man-child like us with the sort of emotional range of a 14-year-old to basically just be like, that's jizz, that is.
You know, Brannon Braga. Someone's asked him and he's just gone, oh, we knew. And we did it.
Yeah, are you saying it's like a Tarantino thing where he's like, oh no, I've got a foot fetish. And oh look, it's a lingering scene on a woman's feet.
I need half
and I have to be the character that touches them? How could this have happened? I just love the idea that, you know, Brannon's just like going, I just want to see Scott Bakula in Bukake.
Oh, but enough about my dream. But that scene.
Does this count as slander? Does this count as slander?
It does not count as slander if they enjoy it. But that scene.
It's a parody.
With when obviously Trip and Archie get taken into the tentacle. And he's running out the cargo bay, and you just see, and it's like, I was gonna put it in the reel below. And I can't, because it's just the worst looking face where it's just like, okay, so Dom, what you need to do, there's going to be this white tentacle in CGI that's going to be chasing after you. You're going to have to look scared of this white tentacle dripping white goo on the floor. And when he shuts
I think
the
to be
door,
fair, he captures that sort of threatened heterosexuality kind of face. I definitely say that's what the face is.
It's the most emotional range we see from Malcolm Reed. But it's...
But do you see what I mean, though? Like
Yeah.
this thing of he is a very difficult character. Like it's just this idea of just being like there. It's very odd that there's a character that has no likable factors to them. Like even characters that are bastards, like Tuvok and stuff,
I thought
like
you
who
were
are
gonna say Tuvok's
effectively.
there.
Oh no! R.I.P. Rest in peace,
Justice
bro.
for Tuvok.
Justice for two hashtag more hashtags. But no, I just find it difficult. I find Malcolm Reed a very difficult character because then they have it where in season 4 where they bring that other security team in. I
Oh, in
forgot what
season
they're
3,
called.
the
Is it season 3?
Makos.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, the Makos, yeah.
And then they bring them in, and then it just makes him even more like angry and sort of he's got short guy syndrome without being particularly short. I think is the problem with Malcolm Reed, and it's annoying. Everyone else in this episode is absolutely wonderful. We where we get Hoshi being wonderful. We get to see a nice side of T'Pol that gets like brought over and whatnot. But yeah. I find it difficult, and it's just annoying that basically his resolution is, hey, we should choose violence. And it takes Phlox to basically go, this is an intelligent life form. We will not be torturing it in order to actually, and it's how short-sighted it is. Like Malcolm Reed represents, in every movie, okay, every American-made movie, they always have some military dickhead in there who's like, let's just shoot at everything, let's fire the missiles, let's drop nukes on them, and it's always some hothead army general or whatever. And I refuse to believe that anyone ever identifies with that character and just goes like, hey, that's who I get on with, that's the solution that I'd like. And yet for some reason they made one of the primary crew members in Enterprise that character. And it's just a bit like, okay.
So they realise when Phlox is examining the severed white tentacle that it is photosensitive and it reacts to increasing light. So when they try and disable the life form by using like focused light beams, that they realise.
I love that they do this. They get focused light beam guns to like point at the creature and stuff, rather than just turning the lights on in the cargo bay.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because it's discovered that it's formed a symbiotic relationship with the people that it's took into its web, and they feel the same pain that the life form also feels, and then the crew that are taken also develop a telepathic bond with each other. Like their thoughts have become one. This is like a tentacle Borg, if you will, where it's a life form that sort of creates a hive mind with anyone or anything that it takes.
Which is quite cool because they find out later that it could be that the creature is just panicked and lonely, and therefore it's just trying to, the same way it almost draws parallels between the founders in DS9, like the idea of the founders, where it's the whole thing of they link up together and that's their community. And so you get the idea that this creature has come from a community and it's basically going, hey, I'm kind of, and like we see with the Borg, like you say, with Q and stuff, where it's the loneliness when you cut off from that.
Yeah. It feels isolated and it seeks not companionship, but it seeks it seeks other thoughts. It does not want to be alone. Isolation can actually kill it. But I also think as well as being a Hoshi episode, it's also partly a Mayweather episode. Yeah. Because they go after the Cretaceans, because obviously this life form has came aboard from the Cretacean ship. And we see that Mayweather gets it out of them why the Cretaceans stormed off.
This is a great little scene as well.
It's brilliant because this has never been done, and like we sometimes take for granted that some things that we do, specifically like in our own cultures, like some things that one culture will do, another culture will probably find like offensive or distasteful, or oh, we would never do that. And then for this alien race, they stormed off and they were disgusted because humans were eating in public around each other, and in their culture that is distasteful, that is lewd, and it is very taboo. And Mayweather goes, well, don't you eat? And they go, yes, but we do it in privacy, in the privacy of our own homes. And this is why Synoiz was referencing the French, where it was the tradition of they place a towel over their head whilst they eat to hide.
I was actually going to say, because obviously we have it where Hoshi is kicking herself because she thinks that her translation was off, and she's made some kind of massive technical error, because at the beginning, when she's trying to translate what they're complaining about as they leave, she's like, you eat like you mate, is what her translator comes up with. And then she's like, oh, it must be on the fritz, I must have done something wrong, because that doesn't make any sense. And then when we find out in this scene where they contacts them asking for help, he basically says, hey, tell us the coordinates of where this creature came from, and then hopefully we can find out some more about it. Yeah. And then they're like, you must apologize first. And he's like, well, what am I apologizing for? We don't know what we did to offend you. Yeah. And they point out, like you said, that eating is a very, very private, personal matter for them, like having sex, where you wouldn't do it in public. Well, there's another thing about Berlin, but where you wouldn't do it in public, and you wouldn't, like do it in front of people effectively. And and it's this wonderful cultural difference. So we get to find out that Hoshi was right. It was just a very strange cultural thing. And I think this is what's great about it, where it points out the whole difference in culture. Because I think a lot of the time, like do you ever have it where you get offended by something and then you realize that actually it's just a you thing, you getting offended by that? Like, for instance, like I have stuff where I'll get annoyed about something and I won't actually say why I'm annoyed. And then I found that when I was doing that, it's like, oh, well, I need to communicate better, like what bothers me, which is how it plays into the theme of the episode of communication. Like, for instance, a mate of mine has this awful habit of when he burps, okay, this bothers me, but when he burps, he tries to make it as loud as possible. So he'll make a massive show of it at any occasion. So you'll literally just be and he does it anywhere. So you will just be, I think we were in a hotel lobby a couple of weeks ago, in a hotel lobby checking out, and he literally just did the loudest burp where he reached his head back to do it, okay?
No
because
way.
That's what he does. He likes making a show of that. And I remember just being like, what the actual fuck is this? Why? And he genuinely didn't realize that this was the thing. Like he was like, oh, why are you annoyed? And I'm just like, he just, I was like, and it's this whole thing. It's a whole thing of picking up on social cues, but also having the communication skills to say when you're offended by something or communicate what you're offended by. So in this respect, we get to see the Cretaceans not being very good at communication from their side, and being like, well, of course, you'll understand what we're offended by, and and it's crazy that this scene between is it Merriweather? It's Mayweather. What's the character's name again? Is it Merriweather or Mayweather?
Travis Mayweather. I
wrote Merriweather down in my notes and I keep looking at it.
Just a quick tangent. I do have breaking news. Breaking news in the world of Star Trek. This year's Star Trek Lower Decks is the final season of Star Trek Lower Decks. They have announced that it will be the final season, premiering fall 2024. I'm devastated.
That's crazy.
I am devastated by that. I love Lower Decks.
It is weird. Do you think Paramount are afraid of money? Are they just
Yes.
like going, we can't possibly have something successful? What what a foolish idea that would be. When was
Oh
this
my God.
announced? Was it the beginning of the month on April 1st?
Yeah. I have just received breaking news from my good friend Mike Overton from Clone Star Podcast. His quote is, and I quote, "What?" 7 is, and yeah, that is. Oh wow, okay, I'm sad now. But anyway, back to the tentacles.
To be fair, though, at least what I will say though is at least Lower Decks has had a perfect run. You know,
Yes.
if Lower Decks does finish in this season, at least it never got the chance to do a Simpsons. You know.
Wow, that is devastating. That is absolutely devastating for me.
Hey,
Yes.
the thing is, it means that they're going to move on to a different Trek, but in the same style or something. We'll have
Well,
to see.
if you're gonna pull Star Trek Lower Decks, give us Star Trek Legacy. You hear me, Paramount? Paramount? Do you? Sorry, hang on. Where am I? There. Do you hear me, Paramount?
Yeah, you go.
Thank you. Paramount just said they hear me, so that's fine.
That's it. They're just across the road, practically.
But yeah, so we see that Hoshi, when we find out that when Phlox finds out that this is actually an intelligent species, Hoshi then has the role of trying to communicate with this life form, and we see her really stand up for herself against T'Pol. When they are working on trying to decipher the language, and she's like, I feel like you overlooking my shoulders all the time and constantly judging what I do, and it's
well, she's been so nasty. Well, we interpret it as nastiness, where basically she has just been so strict with Hoshi. So she's basically saying, hey, it's your fault that you translated that wrong. It's, you should have been doing this, you should have been doing that, and then basically being an absolute dick. So, for instance, if you've ever had a stressful time at work, isn't it awful when you have someone come over to you and tell you how important what you're doing is and how you need to get a move on and how, so effectively, Hoshi's stressing, trying to do this incredibly difficult task, trying to decipher this new language that the creature that they have in the cargo bay, trying to work out how to communicate with it. And then T'Pol's coming over saying, have you done it yet? Have you done it? You're the only one on the ship that can possibly do this task. No pressure, but everything's relying on you, and you should be doing better than this.
Yeah.
And in her cold Vulcan way, and obviously Hoshi's just like, get off my fucking back, and then it kind of turns out, it kind of in this scene between them, it kind of twists around, doesn't it? Where we suddenly have T'Pol make an admission, and this is something I can very much relate to, of the reason I'm so harsh to you is because I hold you in such high regard, and I know that you can achieve these great things. And it's just the Vulcan way.
Yeah. Tough love
and I've had
in a
this.
human way, yeah. Have you?
Yeah, and I've had this because I felt really bad. Like the competition that I've just been doing the Snatch Talk for the last 6 or 8 weeks or whatever. When I was a guest judge, when I'm giving my opinion on the show, I found myself being a bit too critical of one of the contestants. And then when I was a guest judge on the actual night, I was the only judge who had some critique to give them. Everyone else, all the other judges were like, oh, they were amazing. And I was the one saying, hey, you could have tweaked this a little bit, and you could have done this kind of thing, but it was really good. And I got called up on it. They were like, no, well, I don't agree with that. It was perfect. And I realized that, same as T'Pol here, the only reason I'm overly critical of them is because they're my favorite. They were my favorite in the thing. And I was just like, hey, this could be absolutely perfect. And I found that when I don't say anything, when I don't give any feedback to someone, it usually is a bad sign. If I don't criticize someone a little bit, then it suggests that I'm not that bothered about perfecting it, rather than there's nothing to be done to perfect it in a weird way.
Is this why you've never given me any criticism?
Yes. Hey, I do all the time. I'm like going, whoa, why are we doing this? Why are we doing bloody Star Trek when Babylon 5's where the money's
Will
at?
you stop going on about Babylon 5? Stop it. Stop it.
I won't be happy until we've got rid of all of the fans from Nerdy Up North.
Speaking of fans, hello, mother.
Hello, Mrs. Goodwill.
Mark,
How
are you here?
doing?
No, he's not here.
Is Mark not here?
No, he's left in disgust.
We need Mark to say hi to your mum. That's what we need.
Yeah, I'm going to. I'm going to wait till he's back. My
Wait,
mother says
who's in the studio still? Get them to
We've
say
got
hi,
me.
Mrs. Goodwill.
Say hi, Mrs. Goodwill. Say hi, Mrs. Goodwill.
Hi, Mrs. Goodwill.
There we go.
There we
There's
go.
one person will get the rest of them to say it as well, so that's good.
It's a slow build, Mrs. Goodwill. It's a slow build.
The best of the bunch is here. The top fan of Trekking Up North, because she's got the official Trekking Up North denim jacket, now available in all good
Charity shops.
charity shops.
Specifically in Redcar.
No, I'm in America. Now available at Goodwill.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. Only one person is here in the studio, and I've used my best joke. So
That's it. When a joke lands and there's no one to hear
when
it.
a joke lands and no one is there to hear it, yeah. But no, the ability for Hoshi to develop some sort of language matrix to communicate with this life form is very close encounters of the third kind. And instead of like, it's just like screams, which, yes, I have had that
it sounds
experience.
like it sounds like a bad drum machine, like when she's communicating with it. I forgot what it's called. It's like who is it? The band we've got to see, and they have a named drum machine.
I thought you were about that electric thing that a certain
Sisters of Mercy,
Australian
I think it
presenter
is.
used to promote, but we can't name his name anymore.
We can't name him, but the stylophone. Don't Google who made it.
Yeah,
He's dead
don't
now.
Google a stylophone. No.
I've got a stylophone. I should be playing it. I should have brought it out for this episode. But anyway,
You've got a stylophone. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Please
it is.
contact the BBC
I tried
for
to
a
use
full
it so
refund.
many times in music, and it's just terrible as an instrument because you can't take you have to move up to every note. You can't take the thing off because it's just too imprecise. And when you have to slide up to every note, it means there's just so much dissonance in everything. It's horrible. Anyway, but the fact is that, she communicates using a bad drum machine, and then the creature communicates back by letting air out of a balloon slowly. So,
that means coordinates.
Yes. Yeah, it's like, that means my party decorations are going down. But I could have said fart. It could have been worse.
No,
anyway.
they don't communicate by farting. Hoshi, what are they saying? They are saying...
Yeah.
Yes, they're a long.
They're saying the meal was very gassy. When I say they've taken the wind out of Tucker, literally.
No, don't say that. But she's able to fully communicate with the life form, and she's able to. I mean, they know where the planet is because the Cretaceans are given the coordinates after Mayweather professionally apologized on behalf of the entire crew. But then the life form is like, no, you will take me to my house, not just the planet. You will take me to my house.
I love it. Yeah. So basically, when they speak to the life form, it gives them coordinates, and I'm not quite sure how it does that. I'm gonna put that as plot hole of the episode, second plot hole.
No, well, not plot device. It does it. It's scientific, as Mark would call it, Hollywood bullshit.
Yeah. It really is, but yeah. I think what it does though is it basically goes, we have made this scene shorter than it probably would be. So this bit of she'd be talking to it for like an hour or two, and then they'd get coordinates. Whereas the way this sounds is it sounds like going hello, and someone immediately shouting back their full address and being like, what?
But when it releases like the crew out of the goo, oh boy. That many a fantasy has probably been generated.
Yeah, it looks like a Fire Island party gone wrong, basically.
But enough about your weekend again. It is Coachella over here this weekend.
That's a lot of white goo.
But the ending where they take it down to the planet and they release like the actual life form, and then there's a little makeup box, and they release a little tentacle person back. Tentacle part of it back into the fold as well.
Yeah.
And it's just
Hentai
like
beast.
the hentai beast, but it's like this is like a hive mind. Like, so it's not just, it's not multiple beings. It is all one sentient being that acts as a whole. And this part of it was taken away, and it felt isolated, and it felt separated from itself. And it's like a really interesting thing. Like, how would that even work, if you know what I mean? Because obviously with the Borg Collective, they were all individuals that became drones, and when they are disconnected, they become an individual again. But with sort of this, how would that work? Is it sort of like, I put it down as a computer disconnected from a network?
Yeah, but potentially, I mean, the fact is, we see a lot of examples of this kind of creature in Trek, but I think this follows the rules of like good Trek, where basically it makes us question. Like, we walk away from this episode being like, what is Cretacean society like? Like, you know, what should we know? Like, these are things that we, you know, like going, hey, what the hell is Ferengi culture like? What is this like? And these are all questions that can potentially be sort of expanded on like later on. The same with this creature, where we're like, the whole point is for it not to seem like they haven't considered it, like you might get in other sort of sci-fi series, but as in going, it is meant to be alien. We are meant to walk away from this being like, we can't actually grasp how this creature works in this kind of capacity.
Yeah, like with the Cretaceans, it's like our preconceptions. Oh, well, we eat, and all the other alien races that we have met eat. We can't fathom that. You know, there may be a possibility that is taboo and has to be done in private with some races and some cultures, and they find it hard to grasp with that. And then obviously with the life form, the tentacle life form, it's like, oh, we just think it's just tentacles and goo, when it's actually, no, it's a sentient life form that can communicate. And it is really interesting, because it's all about, the whole episode is about communication and how to interpret what something or someone is doing, or why what we do may be considered wrong in another culture, to another alien race. And it's really interesting, and I think the episode is being mired. Like I said at the top of the episode, where when I was reading the synopsis last week, and the first thumbnail I saw was, why was this ever filmed? And it's like, if you overlook, I mean, we've made fun of it, and obviously our loading screen is like very... Paul has done a minefield of innuendos just on this screen. But it's like, if you overlook that, and it's like, it's about communication. And this is what Star Trek, this is the core of Star Trek. It's exploring strange new worlds and new civilizations. And, understanding that not every civilization is going to be the same as us. There's going to be slight differences and major differences. And the more you think about Cretacean society, it's just like, okay, so do they have restaurants? Do they have, how do they socialize? Because you think in human society, socialization has been around bars, pubs, restaurants, eateries. Yeah. They don't have that. So how does their society work in terms of socialization? How is it, how have they united as a space? And it's really interesting to... And I'm going to ask this shortly, but it's really interesting to think about that, where if you look at our civilization and everything in Star Trek, where, look at the Klingons, they socialize over blood wine, a barrel of blood wine, and sing about battles as they drink. And it's like, well, the Cretaceans won't do that because that's taboo. And I think... Maybe...
Sorry, carry on.
No, go on.
No, maybe the way Cretaceans socialize is that they talk while they're pulling their respective sticks out of each other's arses.
So I was going to ask...
having a conversation while someone's just been like, come on, I've nearly got it out. Don't worry. Come on. Oh, it's a big one. Hentai.
So my question was going to be...
to be fair, this really... Well, we obviously, both of us have been really busy. You've been busier and more sort of out of touch than I have, because you've been so like busy in LA and whatnot. But I really should have got Daddy Lee to put a poll up this week, because this is a perfect episode to ask the community about these.
Please emphasize, you want a poll online, not a poll inside you.
Well, I can't confirm or deny either of those. But Daddy Lee, if you're watching, either is good. Both is good. Both would be nice. But as Goodwill downs his energy drink,
So
I put a cyanide capsule at the bottom. Finally,
this
sweet
is
release.
banned in the UK. This is banned in the UK. So I was going to ask, as I've been trying to do every week, but the dabble wheel lands on episodes that mean that the question is irrelevant. Would this episode be worthy of a second contact?
Yes.
How?
We
Why?
need to see more of the Cretaceans. We need to see more of like races like this creature, because like I think this creature is kind of done, that we get like, it serves its plot purpose, but it's the fact of something that's still really interesting in terms of, I think the creature we're done with, but the Cretaceans, we get to see them a bit later on, but then the show just kind of forgets about them. Like, it's almost like, and I get it that maybe they sort of move out of that kind of area of space, but it's still, I think it would have been good to actually see what happens with them. Like, I don't know if there's expanded universe lore about like, oh, they eventually join the Federation, or we actually become friends with them or something, or we learn how to communicate with them.
Yeah.
Because they are kind of treated like a joke in Enterprise, where it's like this, oh, imagine these dickhead aliens, like, these snobby sort of aliens that we bump into. And they never really get a resolution in the show, which is annoying.
In their second appearance, because obviously Archer has to apologise by doing a ceremony, like with a chainsaw, putting slices of a tree. And they are portrayed as space Karens.
Yeah.
Where
until the true space Karen comes along.
Until
later.
The true space Karen, Kai Wynn. I hate that name.
Vedic Wynn. Vedic Wynn. Pretend
Wynn.
It's
We'll
season
just say
3.
Vedic Wynn, and definitely not my ex called Kai Wynn. The space Karen. But they are portrayed as the ultimate complainers in Star Trek Enterprise, where there's like, oh, you said this word wrong, and you eat, and you do this, and to apologise, you must come to our planet and take your top off, Scott Bakula, and put dreadlocks in, and cut a tree down. And
if I thought I could get that kind of response, I'd pretend to be insulted more.
You heard it, Lee. Not you, Lee, other Lee.
You've insulted me, Lee. There's only one way to make it up to me.
But so I think a second contact is warranted. Overall, though, because we are pressed for time, because I'm a Hollywood douche. But overall, though, what do you think of the episode?
I love it. I genuinely think this is an amazing episode, and it's every character gets to shine in this. Like, they get to shine in their respective ways, where Reed does get to shine, but as a dickhead. And it's a weird move that they're like, this is his character. So Reed gets to be very, very much to himself, like as his character. But I don't know why they made a character that was so dislikable. Yeah, well, essentially two-dimensional, because it feels like a cop-out to go like, oh yeah, he just doesn't have any hobbies, and oh, he doesn't get on with his family, and oh, he doesn't really have romance and stuff like that.
And he doesn't like cake.
And it feels a bit like, that's lazy writing. That's like going, I haven't thought about what this character would do out of this scene and stuff. But we get to see Mayweather, who is kind of belittled to only be like this sort of, like a crew member and like the pilot and stuff like that. And we get to go how good he is with diplomacy and how sort of good he is at nuance and communication. And it is, interesting. And then obviously we get to see Hoshi being like amazing and one of my favorite characters in all of Trek. Isn't that fun that Enterprise has possibly my favorite character in Trek if Garak didn't exist? And what is it? My least favorite character in all of Trek in the same episode.
This is why I love Enterprise, and this is why for the longest time, it was one of the most underrated TV series, and it gained its popularity 10 years after it finished. And the problem is, especially here in America with Enterprise, it was on the UPN network, and I don't know if have you ever seen Married with Children? Probably
what
not.
a scene.
Yeah, have you ever seen Married with Children, the sitcom?
Oh, okay, cool, yeah.
So there's a great thing where they go on about the Fox network, and all the family have to pose with metal aerials. So like, oh, it's on Fox News. Get into your Fox network positions, and they all have to be like this all the time to use the aerials and stuff like that. UPN was very much like that for most of the United States, where you could barely get it in most states, and with Enterprise, it was always battered around. Like
you were saying, like they moved it to all the different time slots and networks and everything.
Well, like where Scott Bakula was from, like his home couldn't even watch Star Trek Enterprise because UPN would just delay it for a baseball game, or they would move it to a dead slot. So Enterprise didn't really get its audience because, very much like Firefly, it was messed about quite a lot. And it was only when it came onto Netflix with the rest of the Star Trek library that it gained its momentum and its popularity again, very much like Deep Space Nine, where people were like, on retrospect, this is incredible and way ahead of its time. And with Star Trek Enterprise, although it was a slow burn, people were like, this was not as bad as we thought it was. And on on a review of it, it's actually brilliant, and it was cut short. Just when, and I know you disagree with season 4, but season 4, when Manny Koto came in, the late great Manny Koto came in, it found its stride, and it was getting to where it should have been from day one. And it's sad, and it's very sad that we will never get a season 5 of Enterprise. We will never get proper closure. And I don't care what anyone says, these are the voyages did not happen in Star Trek Enterprise. We did not get Riker in Star Trek Enterprise. No matter what anyone says, that was not an episode. It ended at Terra Prime, and that was it. So for me, am I too soft, Nancy? I apologise for that. Am I too soft?
I've heard you too soft, you know.
I'm too soft.
It's a soft touch, isn't he, Nancy?
I will get closer to the microphone. There we go.
Yeah, go on, get closer. Come on, lean in.
But yeah, it's a solid episode. It is it is an episode based on communication, and sometimes the people you think who are being harsh on you want you to succeed the most. It is about tough love more than anything. But I rate the episode really well. What I am going to do now, though, there is about to be an incoming transmission. However,
well, could I say a little bit more about the episode before we do that? We do have plenty of time, I think. With 90 minutes. I just want to mention like how good we see all the characters and how they communicate. We see Phlox being amazing. Like Phlox is barely in the episode really, but he's one of my favorite characters in all of he's probably my favorite Doctor if the Doctor from Voyager didn't exist, because he's like absolutely brilliant. But like just the silly way he has with animals, like when he's trying to do the autopsy on the tentacle, trying to do the study of it, and then it starts crawling up his arm, and he's like, "That'll be quite enough," He's just gonna takes it off, and he just sort of picks it off and just puts it back, and I'm like, he did what was his name? Mark Billingsley.
John Billingsley.
John Billingsley. He does such a great job as Phlox. Like it's this idea of just going. And it's that difference. It's the going, here's the line that you have. And he just goes, okay, I'm going to make that line amazing. And then you have other people where they're given lines and you're like, oh, that kind of didn't really sit well or work, or you could have done more with it kind of thing. Yeah. And he's great. We get a wonderful scenes between Trip and Archer where we're seeing how all the other crewmates are kind of against each other, or they're kind of not vibing particularly well, like T'Pol and Hoshi. And yet we see just how well Trip knows Archer, because they're really good friends. And he knows exactly how to get Archer out of his slump at the beginning, where Archer's really upset about the bad communication. And he comes in and he says, hey, I got this water polo, which is a weird obsession to have for Scott Bakula, for Archer. But basically it's, I can appreciate it, but I don't know what he gets out of it. But it's this idea of he's like, hey, I've got this game transmitted from Earth. We'll watch that together and stuff. And then we get to see it go to the next level, where basically they're best friends. They know how each other thinks. And then later in the episode, they literally know how each other thinks because they become psychically linked by the creature, which is a bit weird. And it's really good, like all the relationships between things. And then we get to see sort of Flock standing up to Reed and saying, "Why are we going with violence for this? We should be, we should be. Our whole point of being out here is to form relations with other races, not like Trip does in that one episode where he gets pregnant, but close enough. And I just think it's absolutely like brilliant as an episode. One thing, Trip Snips. One thing I had to do though is this episode made me want to eat, because I don't know if anyone else has noticed, but Enterprise, they have a lot more eating of food. Throughout Star Trek, they don't.
Can I just interject with that? That was Doug Drexler's late wife, Dorothy. She was the
that they
cook
were
on
eating.
Enterprise. Yeah, and the food was apparently the best food that Star Trek has ever had, all thanks to Dorothy. And they were going to release a cookbook. Doug was going to release a cookbook about all the food that Dorothy would make. Like, she made the pie, she made the catfish, everything. And Paramount blocked it because they didn't want to make a book about a show that's no longer on the air. So
that sounds like Games Workshop nonsense, where Games Workshop's like, I know it would make us money, but this is for a game that we don't sell models for anymore, so let's not do anything for it.
So it's really sad, but the food is incredible in Enterprise. It
made me want to eat, because like it has this scene where it's Malcolm Reed, it's got Reed, Mayweather, and Hoshi having lunch in the mess hall, and they're eating like a typical lunch really, with like mashed potatoes and stuff. This made me go out and make mashed potatoes because I wanted them after watching this. But we don't tend to see people eat in other series of Trek. We see a lot of people in the mess hall where they'll sit down with the tray, or in Voyager where Neelix will be like, hey, here's my crazy invention of the day. And they'll sit down with it, but they're not really putting it in their mouths or actually actively eating it. Like, aside from Troy going a bit sexy with ice cream occasionally and being like, oh, let's have a triple chocolate sundae.
Yeah.
And I think this helps to humanize the crew and point out that they are so human at this point. Like, it's all the stuff they're eating is human food. Like, they're having mashed potatoes and stuff. They haven't got all the crazy different types of wine, all the crazy different types of food that they will have in Next Generation onwards. And it's this, they still have a cook. They don't have replicators. And that's what I love about season 1 of Enterprise. All of this stuff
I've
is
got an
still
audience back. I finally got an audience. Yay. And the crowd goes wild. There we go.
It's a slow build, but it's getting better.
It's a slow build. It's a slow burn. It's getting there.
But no, that's all I wanted to say about the episode.
That's fantastic.
That's what I wanted to say about the episode, that I love.
I can see you in front of me. We are going to go to an incoming transmission. However, the audio might drop off because system issues, because it's the US that's adequate. So we are getting a silent, god damn it, incoming transmission.
Hi, Tiffany, by the way.
Incoming
Thanks for joining us.
transmission.
How are you doing?
Can everyone hear? Can you hear? I can hear.
Sadly,
the levels are there. The sound is there. Everybody, welcome to the double wheel of episodes.
The double wheel of Code of Honor.
Is that Tiffany? Tiffany, why are you in the chat and not in the room, you weirdo?
She's hiding in the background. She's in a cupboard.
Where's Tiffany? Audience, where's Tiffany? Okay, silence again.
Speaking of Tiffany, I think we're alone now.
I think we're alone now. I don't know. Can everyone hear?
I'm out
That's
in
great.
the chat now.
Goodwill is so adorable. Okay. Weird.
Aww.
Welcome, everybody, to the double wheel of episodes.
Hey!
For those new to Trekkin Up North, what? Oh, he's coming in. My mother says hello.
Hello, Mom.
Hello. This is Mark Cartier's chest.
You need to lean down. It's just your chest, Mark.
It's a bit quiet.
You know, can you turn it up on your computer?
It's like
It's
the
as
Lord of
high
the
as it can
Rings,
go.
where they make people look
I
shorter.
wonder if it's not getting enough power, because these lights are all gold instead of green. They're usually green.
Damn it, Jim. Scotty, I need more power.
All right.
I'm a podcaster, not a
I don't know what to
genius.
tell you.
We need more power. I'm going to get closer. Hello.
We can work it out, yeah.
Welcome to the double wheel of episodes. For those new to Trekking Up North, Mark's staring at me and it's very suspicious.
Is he licking his lips?
He's not licking his lips, he's pointing things at me and I'm scared.
That's how it starts.
Sorry, the audio's out of balance. Sorry, Nancy. We've taken your feedback and we can do nothing about it. However,
Yeah.
welcome to the
We'll
Double
fix
Wheel
it for
of
the
episode.
next episode.
For God's sake, let me finish. Welcome to the Double Wheel of episodes. For those new to Trekkin Up North, why are you joining in at episode 55? This is the Double Wheel, and within the Double Wheel is programmed every episode of Star Trek in existence, bar Discovery and possibly a few others, because I don't think... Have you put the animated episodes back in?
No, we put the original
Okay.
series back in, but
put the
I
original
don't
series
think
back in.
animated series is in yet.
So out of 910 current Star Trek episodes, there is about 40 that are in the Double Wheel of episodes. What we do here at Trekkin Up North, we spin this rather delicious double wheel, and we spin it. We gain immense amount of anxiety, and when it lands, we all yell at the top of our lungs, double! And then whatever
Double.
the double wheel lands on, we must
Yep.
review in next week's episode. So, as ever...
So, are we already in the chat? Are you
I'm
already
gonna-
in the
well,
chat
I'm gonna
to
ask you
yell
first.
Dabo?
I'm going to ask you first. Science Officer... the energy drink's catching up with me. Science Officer Synoiz, what do you want as next week's episode? And if you say Code of
Well-
Honor, I'm going to fly over back to the UK and beat you.
That is tempting. Where are you going to beat me?
Okay, audience, what would you like as...
No, I will say, okay, I'm going to go the opposite. I'm not going to say what episode I want this week, okay?
Oh,
I'm going to
okay.
say... I'm gonna say basically because next week we're doing the charity stream, it means that we might have my friend Ian guesting with me because I'm going to be
cool.
recording from his house, so he
Cool.
might be here. However, he is not the biggest fan of Star Trek Enterprise, and I hope that maybe if we get an episode, it might change his mind. But I'm hoping for not Enterprise just to keep him happy, basically. Or if it is Enterprise, it'll be one that can change his mind. But
I want...
either that DS9 or I'm happy to go back to the original series, you know?
I
Like-
want a Garrick episode of Deep Space Nine for next week. Because we need to...
I told you about that, didn't I?
Yes.
When I was relaxing, I put some DS9 on the other day, and I did that foolish thing where I watched an episode, and then I was like, oh, okay, cool. I can watch one more before I go to bed. So I watched another episode of DS9. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm done. I need to go to bed now. And then the next episode was The Wire with with Garrick, and I was like, I can't not watch this. You know, I can't turn off The Wire. So basically, ended up watching that and went to bed at about 3 a.m. And I was like, oh no.
Shall we spin the wheel, everybody? Audience, would you like to come? Would you like to stand behind me and get all ready to yell double?
Yes, yell Dabo.
To the audience. Come on, come on! God damn it! We
Let's
have got
see your
everybody
beautiful
here.
faces.
Who
Look
have
at
we
them.
got here? Who have we got here? We need to do a roll call. So we've got
Delicious miscreants. Look at them.
Alan. We got Lee, Alan, and Catherine here. These Shuttle Pod crew fans. Everybody,
Hey, well done.
Get into frame, everybody. Huddle up, huddle up. So here we go. Here we go. We are going to spin the wheel, and when it lands, we all yell at the top of our lungs, "Double!" So are you guys ready?
Okay.
Are you ready, Synoiz?
No.
Good.
Let's go.
And we are not spinning. There we go. It's spinning.
Code of Honor.
More.
Double! Star Trek:
Oh.
The Next Generation, next phase. Shall we get the
That's a
synopsis up
good
for
one.
this?
I think.
We'll get the synopsis up for this. In the next phase.
Thanks so much, guys. Thanks for
Thank
helping
you,
out
guys.
with the
Thank you,
double
audience.
wheel.
And the audience goes wild.
Did I miss Dabo?
You missed Dabo. Do you want to yell Dabo?
Dabo!
Thanks, Mark. Okay.
We'll fix it in post, Mark.
Season 5, Episode 24 of The Next Generation, The Next Phase. Geordie and Ro disappear and are presumed dead after a That is wrong. After a transporting maneuver from a disabled Romulan science ship goes awry.
This is the great one where we get to see Beverly potentially killed by a disruptor.
Yes.
That needs to be one of the
Yes.
screenshots at the bottom. It's like
Beverly
this
Crusher
is
killed
this is
by
a
a phaser.
This is a really good episode, and it's one of the ones that demonstrates how good Ro was as a character, and just that they didn't really do anything with her. It was like how Next Gen basically had O'Brien and Barclay and Ro, and it kind of didn't really expand on them too much. But I can see why they wanted to make Ro the Kira Nerys character in DS9.
Oh, absolutely. Ro was a
because it's a great episode for her.
Yeah. So, next week, everybody, we will be reviewing Star Trek The Next Generation Season 5 episode, The Next Phase. Science Officer Synoiz, are you twitching tonight by any chance?
I am actually. I will be twitching. So you can join me on twitch.tv/Synoiz. And I think also I need to mention again, next Friday after the Trek stream, I will be starting a 24-hour gaming stream where you can donate to St. Benedict's Hospice. Now, depending on where you are in the world, it might not affect you directly, but last year, me and my friend Ian and all of our friend group basically lost a dear friend to us to cancer, and the hospice that helped keep her comfortable in her final weeks was St. Benedict's Hospice in Sunderland. So it's an annual thing now that we're going to be doing forever, basically, to raise money for them. So if you can go to, I think I put a link in the description, but you can also go to thevelvetsnatch.com/gaming, and that will take you to the GoFundMe page for it. That you can then put a couple of quid in if you can afford it, and then you can join us next Friday where we will be playing loads of games. We have loads of horror games. I found my old PS4 which has the Silent Hill demo PT on it.
Yeah.
So that is lost now. You can't download it or get it anymore. But we will be playing that at some point, and we will be doing lots of community games like Jackbox and stuff that you can get involved in. So please help us raise money for a good cause, and I'll see you then.
We will be there. Speaking of charity causes, make sure that you click the link in the description below to sponsor Nina to jump out of a plane. And make sure that you donate enough so Nina can afford a parachute. Because we are very worried that Nina has not got a parachute. Nina, are you worried? Am I making you anxious, Nina? Nina, are you worried? Are you going to have a parachute?
Nina?
You will be.
What it's gonna be is it's gonna be like a cartoon where she's gonna open up the parachute and it's gonna have an anvil in. It's gonna be like Wile E. Coyote levels.
She'll open a parachute and it'll just be note saying, "I owe you one parachute." So until
not
then,
included.
though,
DLC content parachute.
Yeah, it's an EA parachute. Until then, though, guys, if you look at the description below, you will see all of our friends of Trekking Up North, including Ave Maria, the Shuttlepod Show. Click the link in the description to subscribe to the Shuttlepod Show. If you are watching this and you are not a member of Nerdy Up North, are you ill? What is wrong with you? Click that subscribe button, tickle the bell, caress the bell. So you know every single time that we are live. We have got so many wonderful things. We have got Trekking Up North, which is me and Synoiz. We've got Monsters Up North. I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere. We've got Monsters Up North, we've got Gigs Up North, we've got Reviews Up North, we've got Gaming Up North, we've got Nerdy Up North Twitch, we've got Nerdy Up North Facebook community. And we have a Twitter /X/ whatever the fuck Elon Musk is calling it this week. We are everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Every single social that you think about, we are there, except maybe MySpace. The important one. Thank you, Lee, for... Yeah. But we are everywhere. Click all the links to subscribe to our friends. We've got the Shuttlepod Show. We've got Clone Star. We've got Unplanned Trek, which I occasionally frequent. And most importantly, we have got the Velvet Snatches YouTube channel down there as well. Because the Velvet Snatch... That slag. The Velvet Snatch is obviously Science Officer Synoiz, cousin, alien. I don't know.
my drag persona, which we will
Drag
be seeing a lot
persona.
of in the next couple of
Yes.
in the next couple of months, I think, which should be quite good. The hilarious thing is, if you are flash with cash, we're going to make it where on the charity stream, if you donate a certain amount of money as an individual, you can get me to dress up as the Velvet Staff, which will admittedly take me 2 hours of makeup to do, but
Do it.
is a fun little thing. But if
Do
it makes us money, I'll do it, you know?
That has been
Yeah.
this week's Trekkin Up North, live from those United States of them's Americas. Until next week, my lovelies, stay safe, look after each other. Where is my intro? I can't find my intro. There is my intro. Stay
Where?
safe. And as ever, live long and prosper. And Miles?
Miles? Join me on
Miles?
Twitch. Miles?
Miles?